Hey everybody, just wanted to talk about something really quick before I head out for tonight. It was just announced the penalties for Sammy Smith. I have him right here. By the time this gets out, I'm going to be over with IDK Player getting ready for our event tonight. So be sure to check that one out. But I wanted to talk about this. It's going to just be on the phone, on the go, all of that. I could probably do a car video and just be old school with NASCAR YouTubers, but let's just go into this. Bob Pockers had tweeted out, at least this is where I saw it from, that Sammy Smith has been docked 50 points for taking out Taylor Gray at the end of the Xfinity race at Martinsville and fined $25,000. A similar penalty, though less money because it's Xfinity, to what Austin Cindric did at COTA. Taylor Gray and Jeb Burton fined $5,000 for going into the care center to confront drivers. I'm going to get the last part really quick. The infield care center stuff I agree with. That's a place for safety. I don't think your grudge matches should take place there. So there is that I do 100% agree with NASCAR on. The penalty here, 50 points. I don't really think it's going to be all that much of a deterrent. It depends on how the summer plays out. Sammy Smith and that 8 team have been one of the better teams this year. So there is that to look at. I mean, I have the points pulled up on my end right behind you. And it's plus 51 after this weekend. So he'll be 1 point in the cut line as of now, but it's very early. They can make that up. No problem. I think that it's a fix for what they have now. It's within the rules that they have now, and that's about the best that they probably can do. I think a lot of people are going to want worse. A lot of people might not want stuff. I've seen a lot of people say this is NASCAR. You shouldn't be penalizing, tough driving and beating and banging at short tracks, and it's a slippery slope argument. And there's a lot of arguments that can be made with that. I've seen a lot of people talking that way. On the other end, I've seen a lot of people who think that Sammy Smith should be suspended for a race, 2 races, 3 races, you name it. I'm somewhere in the middle on this. I don't think he should be suspended. I think that a points penalty at the moment is the best within the rules that NASCAR has. But I do think this is something that through the season and into the offseason needs to be addressed. This can't be something that continues on at short tracks a lot of the time, especially in the lower series. We've talked all week about the race at Martinsville we just saw. We've talked all week about, the comparisons to the Phoenix truck race, for instance. That race back in 2023 for the finale was just a grudge match. It was rough. It was a rough race to watch. So, I get that there's a lot of people. You see my finger. We're on the go. We're rolling. I see there's a lot of people that are going to be pretty miffed about it, pretty happy about it, and everywhere in between. But I do think this is something that shouldn't be forgotten. It shouldn't be on the back burner at all this year, because I think that if it's happening this early in the season, there's probably reason to think that when money time comes along at the end of the year, this is going to be something major that a lot of people are going to be partaking in. The next Martinsville race could very easily have that. You could have that at Bristol in a couple weeks, Rockingham. Like if we're already having these kind of deals this early in the year and people making bonsai moves, like this isn't something that's probably going to go away. It might die down for a bit, but it's not going to go away. So I think that that's something that needs to be remembered in this, and NASCAR needs to hold a firm hand. This can't be something where, one person gets penalized, but then we're going to be a little more lax later in the year and just back and forth, because at that point you're going to make the controversy worse. I agree so far with what they've done with it. I just don't think it de-incentivizes drivers this year. That's the big point of it. I think that larger, broader strokes need to be made in order to fix this kind of racing over time. Whether that is more officiating. A lot of people have been talking about having rough driving penalties come back like they used to do in the 2000s. I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I think that there's some that definitely could do with that. And then we've seen a lot of different situations in the past couple of years that could do with that. I'm thinking Noah Gragson immediately at Road America, the race I was at 4 or 5 years ago, whenever that was. At the same time, there's there's others. Let's just keep moving around here. There's other ones that could have had that done that, we saw penalties be taken for. Austin Dillon, for instance. I know that the comparison right here is to the Cindric Coda incident, so at least keeping a precedent to what they have built up. But we're starting to see some more of these really egregious, I guess is the right word. I know that's an overused word, but egregious kinds of actions going for wins because it's that important. Now, there's obviously the talk of playoffs involved with that, the talk of the cars being a problem with it. We saw, I believe it was Parker Kligerman and Landon Castle on their show talking about how the cars do play a factor in this. I don't disagree. These cars are damn near indestructible as long as you don't run them into a wall full speed. And even Ross Chastain has proven you can be full speed in the wall and not completely destroy the Cup ones, at least. So there is that part of it. There's the playoff argument, too, that it incentivizes these kind of bonsai moves with winning you're in and stuff like that. So my big point is not that this penalty is small. Like, this will be big. Sammy Smith, I think, has been doing pretty good this year, but it's not to say that he was a lock if major things went wrong. I have the points right behind, so if I'm looking off screen, that's what I'm looking at. And he's going to be 1 point above Brandon Jones. He'll be right behind, amazingly, right behind Taylor Gray in the point standings. And so if he misses by anything less than 50 points, this race is what caused it. But he could still go out and win. He was running up front in this race. He's in a JRM car. There's a very good possibility of a Sammy Smith win by the end of the year. And then at that point, you're looking at, I guess, just, a penalty that was rough on the regular season points that they got. Maybe they lose a few positions in the standings at push come to shove at the end of the year. They've generally, I think, been overperforming how they have been in the past. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I think, again, biggest thing I have to take from this is right move for the right now with the rules in place that they have. I don't want them making rule changes in the middle of the year. I think that's just going to cause more problems, but there needs to be more. There definitely needs to be more. There needs to be a real deep look into this, just like there'd be a deep look at the playoffs that they're doing with the committee. I think that this needs to be talked about in it a little bit with that. It's just a culture thing. It is a major, major culture issue when it comes to the way that these drivers, and especially young drivers, are right now. And this has been a young driver problem in the lower series. We saw it with Josef Arnheim and the complete fiasco in 2023 at Phoenix in the Truck Series. We've seen it in Xfinity races like the Ty Gibbs, Brandon Jones issue that a lot of people had problems with back in, I think, 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I could get my years wrong, forgive me. And it just keeps ramping up. We see it now with Austin Dillon, not necessarily a young driver, but in that younger generation that's come in the last, decade, 12 years, give or take. So this is something that NASCAR probably is going to have to get their hands a little dirty with. This is something the owners are going to have to get into. This is something I think everybody's going to have to get into with this, because it is a bit of a cultural problem, in my opinion. Now, some people are okay with it, to each their own. But this is a step. I think this is. I know it's within precedent, but I think it's also a good step too. So that's my take on it. I appreciate you guys, letting me kind of ramble here for a minute. I actually kind of like doing these rambling videos. I might do more of them in the future. I got to head out real quick. By the time this is up, I'll probably be getting ready for the race on IDK Players channel, so be sure to check that out. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. We'll talk about everything. We'll talk tomorrow night on NWP about this for sure. I'm sure everybody's going to have different opinions and different takes and everything like that, and that's completely normal for us if you've ever watched us. So be sure to watch that. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one, y'all. Later.